All hail.
Okay, first things first. If this video goes out and gets caught in the algorithm and gets a boost, chances are I'm going to have some of YouTube's slowest and stupidest in my comments section misinterpreting what I'm trying to say with the video. Given what I know about YouTube, I'm probably going to have some people claiming these two are an indictment on the transgender community as a whole. They're not, so hit the bricks with that BS. Second of all, I'll try and keep old Dennis the Menace's name as Riley because I had a few people upset the last time I brought him up using his real name. So I'll try and keep it respectful as much as I have no respect for the man whatsoever, and I'm hoping you don't after this video either. Now then, let us get along with the main event, shall we? So then, a few videos back, I brought up Milo Stewart and Riley Dennis again. And it got me to wondering what's actually happened to those two. And I did a bit of a dive, obviously not too much of a deep dive, but a little bit of a dive just to see what they're up to. Now let me take you back for any of my current newish subscribers. Back in 2016-2017, these two were prominent members of the then SJW community that upload some of the worst content you've ever seen to YouTube, and they would get dragged for it frequently. And this is back in 2016-2017 where Anti-SJW content was an absolute goldmine for ranting and commentary channels, and these two were they were like a waterfall in an oasis. You know, they were a waterfall in an oasis in the middle of a desert. They were just easy to pick fruit. And their content was some of the worst, least logic-based content, most feelings-based content you have ever seen from a creator ever. But it wasn't just that, it was how utterly obnoxious they were to go with it that raised everyone's ire. So, they were easy content and they were lol cows in a nutshell, not to mention being pretty crappy people on top of it all, which made them easy to go after. But as things do, it got to a point where people were like, we're just mining the same content out of these people time and again. And as time went on, anti-SJW content stopped being a hot-button subject. The term SJW really has fallen into disuse for the most part, and YouTube's moved on. And it's certainly moved on without Milo and Jussie. And the first of the duo, Milo Stewart, came to everybody's attention with a video where she claimed there were 76 genders. There weren't just one or two, there were 76. Every single one of Milo's videos opened with this obnoxious little intro combo.
Cute and canny, more than just one out of many.
Good morning, easily offended millennials.
And a lot of us pointed out that the whole easily offended millennials thing didn't make much sense when Milo was arguing from the position of the easily offended one. It was part of the whole being obnoxious thing that this kid was trying to go for, and it didn't really work. She was 18 years old, and the content was terrible. You would have her say she was asexual and then come out with a video saying she got the pipe and she liked it. You had her making videos about how she didn't really feel dysphoria, but she was non-binary trans. Those don't work together. You cannot convince me they work together. There was the time she tried changing her name from Milo to Quimby, then back to Milo when everyone's like, okay, Quimby just sounds absolutely stupid. She got a lot of grief because a lot of the content she made was absolutely toxic and absolutely terrible. Some of it seems like it was made just to wind people up. But a lot of it just seemed to genuinely be feels-based content from a kid that was trying to come across as smarter than everyone, especially on gender issues. So Milo eventually disappeared after copping crap left, right, and center from everybody over the 76 genders thing, along with a lot of the other videos she'd make, which were along the same vein, talking about gender, talking about sexuality, and a lot of it didn't make much sense. This was an 18-year-old kid trying to be smug, trying to be a smartass, and it really didn't work when the things she was saying didn't add up to anything in the grand scheme of things. And I think a lot of people would have been a lot more sympathetic if she hadn't been so smug to go with it. And then she faded away and we classified her as obsolete. And so I had a look as to what she'd done in recent years. Honestly, full confession time, I feel sorry for this kid. She's now 26 years old, and a lot of people back in the day would look at Milo from the angle of, she's only 18 now. She'll grow out of it. Well, she's 26 now, and it's kind of hard to play that card now when you're a fully grown adult. But in the intervening years, since 2016 to 2017, Milo has gone right off the rails. Something really wrong has happened to this kid. Originally, Milo just uploaded videos where it was this adorable kid making macaroni art. I don't remember where I saw it. It might be early on in her channel's history, but I remember once seeing these videos and it was this little girl making macaroni art. It was actually quite clever. It was actually quite good. And then she turned into the Milo Stewart we all know and loathe. And in the years since, it's just been more shenanigans. She started hormone replacement therapy. Then she went off it. Then she decided that she was trans non-binary. She just wasn't going to transition. Then she got her titties cut off. So she's flat-chested and basically has the chest of a bloke. Something's gone wrong somewhere because her face is distorted and something's gone wrong with her facial muscles somewhere. Because this is not the face of a healthy 26-year-old. And her most recent video is as of a year ago where she has become an OnlyFans creator. What kind of sick degenerate is smashing their lust salami to Milo Stewart? I don't know. But that's not doing much to dissuade anybody from their belief that OnlyFans girls are completely cooked and just want attention. She's grown her hair out a bit. She's now wearing feminine clothing in spite of not having a chest to show off anymore, and it's fucking depressing, dude, because underneath it all, it's some young lady who I think fucking needed therapy more than anything. This is a kid who needed a positive influence or something and just never got one. Okay, we all came down on her pretty hard for the stupid content she was making, and she deserved a lot of the flack she was getting. But I also think by the same token, her coming online and making an ass of herself wasn't helping. It was just fuel to the fire. And then as she got older, she just kept making more and more dumb decisions and didn't have anybody really to turn to go, hey, is this, where I should be going, what I should be doing? And now she's a failed adult content creator. It's sad. I don't want to go back on anything I did or anything I said back then, because everything I said about her back then I stand by. But it's hard to have hatred and it's hard to have disdain in the current day because something's not right with that kid and she needs help. I hope one day she gets help, but I think by this point it's too late. I feel empathy and I feel sorry for her. The same can't be said for the other subject of this video. Old Riley Dennis. See, back when I came across old quote-unquote Riley, he was Justin Dennis. And I first came across old Jussie the Jackwagon in one of Milo's videos. So then that sort of spiraled into the Justin rabbit hole where I had a look at the content he was making. I'd say it was more of the same as Milo's, but it was worse because Justin was a lot older. I think Justin was like 24 when we came across him. He's 31 now, so he was 24 when we came across him. And at that point in time, everyone was again skeptical about him because he claimed to be trans non-binary while doing little beyond growing his hair out and applying crap eyeliner. He did and still does have an Adam's apple you could take out a 747 with from ground level. But the thing that didn't help is A, he mouthed off about not feeling dysphoria and claiming transgender, or being transgender, was fun. Which raised a lot of alarm bells, especially in trans people. And B, again, the insistence on being trans non-binary and claiming that he was gay. Again, I don't make sense of any of those because it's a bunch of labels that cancel each other out. But the bit that will make Justin or Riley or whatever you want to call him forever live in infamy was the video that myself and damn near everybody on YouTube responded to. The infamous video where he sat there and lectured people on why they're not allowed to have dating preferences. Our boy here made a video where he comes across as the most whiny, arrogant, pathetic, entitled incel to ever exist in the history of the internet. The video was savaged by everybody at the time. It didn't help that he followed up making more videos where instead of taking ownership and understanding why he was getting wreathed, he'd blame it on everybody else being bigoted, everybody else being hateful, and even started going down the rabbit hole of being extremely sarcastic and passive-aggressive. Because in spite of everybody telling him he was wrong and idiotic, including a bunch of people in the trans community, old Jussie wouldn't accept the fact that he wasn't just some poor innocent victim of the mean right-wing internet. His video was one of the dumbest things a content creator has ever uploaded to this website, and I will stand by that. Check out the video on my channel because, yeah, it's kind of a time capsule and encapsulates the type of videos anti-SJW channels at the time were making. He also had his How to Be a Politically Correct Bigot video, which is just an incredibly sarcastic video, saying that anybody that disagreed with him essentially was just a stealth racist, sexist, homophobe, transphobe, so on and so forth. From there, he shacked up with his girlfriend Neon Fiona, as seen here. Neon Fiona is on my personal shit list for getting one of my friend's channels shut down through a false flagging campaign. My friend Josh Powell, who doesn't make content and has left the internet and is living a happy, thriving life offline, had managed to skyrocket in popularity on his first channel, jumping from something like 200 subs to 1100 subs based off a video he did on bloody Lacey Green. He went after Neon Fiona false flagged him, got his original channel taken down. And that made me pretty fucking irate, to be honest, because Josh was someone that I respected and enjoyed the content of fucking just a lot. But those two got together and started making a bunch of crap content together, which was more of the same. You're a bigot if you don't like them, you're horrible. Neon Fiona's personality may have been worse than Jussie's because hers was more of the whole, if you don't agree with our feels-based bullshit, you're a moron. You know the type where they talk down to you and they're condescending because you don't believe in the silly asinine nonsense bullshit they do. That type of content creator. So, again, around about 2017, 2018, Justin's kind of content wound up winding up. He went through some facial feminization surgery. He went from speaking up here to speaking down here in a really bad attempt at a feminine voice. and he switched his content to cartoon-based content. Mostly Avatar Legend of Aang content. As of his channel, his last upload was 3 years ago. Maybe a few years too late for a few people, but he finally tucked tail, got off YouTube, and moved to Australia with Fiona. They got engaged and had apparently moved on to anonymity. Until last year. So I did another dive on Riley Justin Dennis, just to see whether him and his she-sting were living in anonymity still, keeping their heads below the radar. Kinda part of me hoping that he'd made peace and was living off the grid. Yep, nope. It turns out that Jussie decided to play soccer or football, whatever the hell you want to call it, in Australia. He decided he wanted to play in a women's league because identifying as a trans woman, that qualified him under this league's rules to play in a team with 4 other trans women against younger women aged anywhere from 17 onward. I know this because I've found a couple of articles which say that a transgendered soccer player was in trouble because of injuring a couple of young female soccer players. Riley J. Dennis was identified in newspapers as the player that had injured these women. Now, in the soccer league he was playing, and he was the top goal scorer, and after the controversy, his name was wiped off this Australian football website. Now, watch the following video and you will see why I said what I said at the start of the video about how if you don't dislike Justin before this video, I'm hoping you do afterwards. Here's him throwing a tantrum and hurting one of these girls in a game of soccer. Now watch his body language and here we go.
Unstoppable eating machines. Nothing safe. Nothing. At Woolworths, we get what families go through.
Now that behaviour is right in line with Riley's temper tantrums on YouTube whenever he couldn't get his own way. He'd get all aggro and it's everyone else's fault. That young lady tripped him over by accident with a completely legal football challenge. How does he respond? Slams into her, trips her over, almost sends her into a fence and puts some stank on it, and then walks off in a huff. That body language says that his retaliation wasn't accidental. He meant to do that shit. This is a 31-year-old man. That was apparently a 17-year-old girl. Also note that he goes 6'4". Okay, so I don't care about the transgendered people in sports argument because that's not my point. My point is this motherfucker's 6'4". That girl looked to be about a clear foot shorter than him. Come on. Really? You're 6'4" and you're pulling that shit on a young girl at 31 years old. So apparently our clown hasn't changed. Not in the slightest. He then followed that magic trick up by apparently reporting the writer of an article criticising him to the Australian police. Now I'll include some links in my description of varying news sources so you can get a better read of them yourself because this video is running quite long already. But at the end of the day, it looks like the guy is as much of a complete jack-off offline as he was online. And again, like Milo, this isn't a kid anymore. He wasn't a kid to start with, he was 24 to start with. He's now 31. He's old enough to know better, and he's old enough to be able to play soccer without throwing a fucking temper tantrum at a teenage girl for making him look foolish. God only knows he's been doing it to himself for years. So that is where Justin and Milo are at now. As I said, I feel sorry for Milo, I don't feel sorry for Justin. Justin is just a fucking asshole, always has been, always will be. Milo, on the other hand, I genuinely hope gets some mental help somewhere down the track because the kid needs it. So in case you were ever wondering what was up with Milo Stewart and Riley Justin Dennis, that's it. There you are. You are now up to speed. Thank you for listening to this long recording. I'm Damian Skyfire. Till next time.